And welcome back to the Bridget Mabanda College here in the nation's capital. And it is, of course, day 42 of the Madlanga Commission. So it's the penultimate day for proceedings here because tomorrow the Commission will wrap up its preliminary proceedings, at least for the year 2025. And on the 17th of December, a preliminary report will be handed over to President Cyril Ramaphosa about proceedings hitherto. Well, I'm joined now by Ambassador Andy Mashaile, who's, of course, a security strategist, to talk to us about some of the evidence that has been laid here. Ambassador, always a pleasure to have you. So let's just kick off by what you've made of yesterday, what we saw with Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, and I say Brigadier because the whole issue of the rank and how this was conferred, he was all over the show at times, also speaking to the issue that the rank situation needed to be addressed through a council resolution. That didn't seem to happen, but what did you make of it overall?
Sakina, good morning to you and your other twin back at the studio, Liane. General Brigadier Mkhwanazi yesterday, his testimony showed a serious systemic rot, lack of accountability by the executive authorities in that space, and thirdly, the ill discipline of the individual himself, Brigadier Mkhwanazi. You and I and the viewer observed when he could not even respond to basic questions, igniting the ire of Ntate Madlanga, driving him back onto the rails because he was neither here nor there. He was all over the show, suggesting to both you and I that he doesn't have a clue of what his mandate was by then. Even now, he couldn't remember conveniently in other spaces whether he authorized the use of the blue lights, whether he saw those vehicles, but in his own statement mentioning the two sedans, even the registration numbers thereof, when quizzed further, he would claim a contestation with the documents as referred to Rivo Species testimony. So yesterday showed me a classic rot within the EMPD.
And just speaking to the memoranda of understanding, and again, the questions around his authority to enter into agreements with outside entities for on behalf of EMPD, it didn't go well for him because he had to concede that he was not duly authorized to enter into the sort of agreements that the commission were probing yesterday, but seemingly had done so.
He knew, Sakina, that he misrepresented himself. Number two, he misrepresented the council. He did not have authority. So a quick thinker in that space would say, I am already under the bus. What I committed, if I insist that I did the right thing, I would be opening myself up for criminal prosecution from defeating the ends of justice, from making agreements fraudulently because I was not authorized to do such. Hence his hesitancy when it came to responding, jumping over the fence, back into the fence, not knowing which direction to take.
And it was quite interesting because at times, some of the questions, you would have thought that it would be a simple, clear answer about who was in that meeting, where they looked at, for example, the State of the City address and the sort of briefings that took place in the run-up to that. And again, I'm not sure if it was deflection or whether he simply could not remember who would have been, in some of the meetings that were canvassed by the commission yesterday.
Sakina, he remembers everything very well and very clear. When you are faced with the three lions, Ntate Madlanga and the lioness Mama Baloyi and Commissioner Khumalo, you realize that your professional life your freedom to walk the streets is becoming limited, and therefore your strategy would be in that space to obfuscate the proceedings, to send them from page 100 to page 2, from page 2 to page 96, all in the hope of creating confusion that will ease the fire against you. When Brigadier Mkhwanazi was quizzed with regard to, once again, those cars, when they were registered, and whether he took stock of those cars, he did not respond in a positive way and manner, because he would have once again threw himself under the bus. You register those cars as belonging to the city, but the cars are at Andy's place or at Andy's mom's place or at Sakina's place. Why would that happen? Should an accident happen, who would be sued in that space when those cars are there? Like when he was asked, do you know what those cars were used for? He didn't have any clue, meaning he did not monitor, meaning he didn't really care because he was in charge of the process. No one could do anything to him and his cronies.
But not for a lack of trying. I mean, he did try to distance himself from it. For example, speaking to the situation of the cars and the blue lights. Yes, he couldn't respond to what happened to those cars once they were registered under EMPD, because it was clear that the cars were never in the possession of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. So they were registered, but who knows where they were. But that being said, though, it was also clear that Mr. Mkhwanazi was trying to distance himself, saying that he never saw those cars. It was someone else who was actually responsible for the registration, for the fitting. It doesn't fall within his ambit, given his designation.
Sakina, you initiated that process. You are supposed to see to it that you get reports, daily reports, if not weekly reports, so that you can then brief your higher ups with regard to the status of those vehicles. Because why did you have those vehicles there? Those vehicles were a force multiplier for the resources of the EMPD, and you have indicated to your higher ups that there are two new cars that would be adding onto the value or the number or the fleet. Now, if you don't have those two cars, what does it mean, Sakina, to your deployment and your operations, deployment at place A or place B, with the absence of those cars? So the higher-ups also failed to hold him to account.
And I wanted to come to that point, because it cannot be a free pass for everybody else within Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. If he did wrong, where was everybody else within the oversight mechanism?
That has always been a point of interest for me yesterday as I was watching through his presentation. The higher-ups must also take responsibility. The executive mayor, as we learned that the executive mayor was informed of what is happening. I could not hear him clearly draw the line that the executive mayor or the mayoralty or the office of the alderman also knew of what was going on. For the fact that they deployed ex-special task force members to protect the mayor in the State of the City address, and the mayor congratulating him. The mayor was supposed to have asked a lot of questions. Why did the mayor not ask questions? I don't know. Does the mayor need to be called to the Madlanga Commission to explain that, to explain to the commission that you enjoy the protection of these people? Do you know who they were? Were they vetted? Were you happy with their report? From an intelligence point of view, were you safe?
Was council aware? Because it became very clear that there was no vetting that was done of these force multipliers. And also, if you remember back, Ambassador Mashaile, to Spisa's testimony, at one point he spoke about the Ekurhuleni Metro VIP service arriving at the mayor's home, only to find CAT VIP security guards already there. That was during Spisa's testimony. So seemingly there were questions, but was enough done to get to the bottom of it?
Sakina, once you identify an anomaly, maybe from a security point of view, we are not all at the same par. And I would forgive all other people who are not as neurotic as I am. But once a private security company comes to pick me up, when I'm supposed to be picked up by a flying squad or by that unit, it is incumbent upon me to call for the commander of the protective services within the council to say, what is going on? Where are you?
We're out of time. We haven't even touched with Brigadier Mkhwanazi on some of the other very serious allegations, the hijackings, the alleged murder, you know, all of those things that also took place. Didn't even get there yesterday.
I hope and pray that when he comes back this morning, as I land, they will be able, the SC will be able to pull those issues up to find out what happened to the body of that particular person who was thrown into the river. From his response, his accountability point of view, that is Brigadier Mkhwanazi. Did he knew that someone was killed? Did he go to SAPS to lay a charge? Was he responsible? Yes, as a police officer, when you know of a crime that has been committed, you have a responsibility, unless if you are an accomplice to crime yourself.
Security Strategist Ambassador Mashaile speaking to us here about the evidence that we heard yesterday here at the Madlanga Commission, and that of Brigadier Mkhwanazi from Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. He'll be back. The commission will get underway in half an hour exactly, because it's 8 o'clock now. And of course, we'll come back and also look to the other witness that will be brought here before the commission, and that is, of course, Senzo Mchunu. So more about that in a short while. It's back to you, Leanne.
Well, it's Thursday, December the 4th, 2025, 8 o'clock Central African time. A very good morning to you. Here are your top stories. The Nkabinde inquiry is set to hear more evidence from MPA head advocate Shamila Batoyi on why she referred the matter of advocate Andrew Chauke to President Cyril Ramaphosa. The Pretoria-based inquiry is probing Chauke's fitness to hold office. The trial of former President Jacob Zuma and French arms company Thales is expected to resume in the Pietermaritzburg High Court this morning. Zuma and Thales face charges of racketeering, corruption, fraud and money laundering related to the controversial 1999 arms deal. Suspended Ekurhuleni Deputy Police Chief Julius Mkhwanazi will continue with his testimony at the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria this morning. His testimony will be followed by that of suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Spokesperson for Presidency Vincent Magwenya says South Africa will not beg to be included in G20 deliberations under the United States presidency. He spoke shortly after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio attacked the South African government in a scathing article, reiterating the U.S.'s view that Pretoria would not be invited to participate in G20 meetings under the U.S. presidency. And South Africa's national team has levelled the three-match one-day international series against India at one game apiece. The Proteas won the second match of the series in Raipur by 4 wickets with 4 deliveries to spare. In our top story, presidential spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says South Africa will not beg to be included in G20 deliberations under the United States presidency. He spoke to SABC News shortly after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio attacked the South African government in a scathing article, reiterating the U.S. view that Pretoria would not be invited to participate in the G20 meetings under the U.S. presidency. Sharon Bryce Pease reports that the G20 troika of South Africa, the U.S. and the U.K. will not be operational as expected over the next 12 months.
Mkhwanazi confirmed that South Africa would not beg to be included in meetings under US leadership, seeking rather to engage with other G20 member states where they would raise Washington's departure from the established norms and rules. He said they would continue to raise issues rejected by the US during South Africa's G20 presidency and defend the principle of multilateralism, push back against unilateralism, or what he called the magazation of multilateral platforms. Mkhwanazi also indicated South Africa's engagements with the next G7 president, France, and the United Kingdom that takes over the G20 presidency after the US, in an effort to take forward the decisions taken at the Johannesburg Leaders Summit last month. Sherman Ricepies, SABC News, New York.